All right, we're back. It's Yankees Unloaded. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. He is Gary Sheffield Jr., and we're back, and the Yankees are back in the win column. So, Gary, talk to me. I mean, what was your takeaway from today's game? I just realized that the ticker was totally off, and the Yankees didn't lose. They actually won. They just didn't play the Orioles today. So, 3-0 against Tampa. But what were your thoughts on today's game to start this thing off?
I think what was so surprising to me is watching Max Fried and just how many different ways he goes about it. You really can't watch him on TV and figure out how he wants to go about his business. Whereas when we watch Garrett Cole throughout the years, Garrett Cole is one of the best arms in the history of the game. He's going to go to the Hall of Fame, and you sort of know when you turn on Yes Network, okay, it's going to be four-seam command. What does that look like? Okay, that's great. Okay, now we want to see what the secondary pitches look like, right? Michael Kay is bringing up, okay, he doesn't have the slider, so now we know he's going to be going to that changeup. So you essentially know now today he's going to be a two-pitch pitcher. Max Fried has got about a million different pitches. Today he went 7-fold. He gave up 1 hit, 2 walks, which home plate umpire Carlos Torres has the craziest hitters zone you've ever seen. So that 2 walks was great, okay? Still had his 6 Ks. And he had his sweeper going, his sinker, a four-seam, a changeup, a slider, a 12-6 curveball. The broadcast had no idea what to look for. And at one point there in the 6th inning, Michael was like, yeah, at this point, this hitter's just guessing. You're guessing. You have no idea what's coming. And sure enough, he goes 0-0 changeup. The hitter's sitting there thinking, you really just started me off with a changeup. Most pitchers, Jake, late in games, they're trying to reach back and give you their best stuff to get through a start. Whereas Max Fried is a different brand. He's going to out-sequence you late in the game, and I love that. He went changeup, slider, changeup to get that out. And it just sort of goes to show you there's no real way to have an indication of how you're going to attack this pitcher. And when he has it going, he's going to be great. And it's the reason why, without Garrett Cole, we said Fried was far and away the ace of this team, and he's looking every bit of the part. I think in general, how this looks, I saw that before I kick it back to you, they were talking about the defense. The Yankees defense overall is 3rd in defensive run save in all of baseball, not just the American League. And considering that, Max Fried's defense behind him, worst in all of baseball. That includes starters and relievers behind him.
Unreal.
So all of that unluckiness, and it just doesn't matter. His ERA is sitting at 101. Just sensational.
Absolutely sensational. Only giving up 1 hit, giving him length. I mean, Boone could have been like, yeah, go ahead for the complete game shutout. It just wasn't necessary. And I think that's the thing. Nowadays, these guys just don't care. Complete game shutouts don't really hit like they used to. And so you give, the Yankees 7 straight, and you give up 1 run, 2 runs, that's great. When you give up no runs and you give them 7 innings, now only 2 guys are maximum really going to hit the mound, maybe only 1. So he did his job today. Big stuff from Max Fried. And that, I will say, I mean, going back to it, we had our concerns about the move way before it even became a reality. We were talking about the whole postseason thing and the ground balls that he would induce, because we did talk about how that could be an issue. And funny enough, it is an issue for the defense. Clearly they have a hard time with it, but he's so good, it's not letting him really, it's not letting any of that really get to him. So really impressed with what I've seen from Fried, who, I mean, you see the title. At this point, it's early, just like Judge, but Max Fried is going to be up there for Cy Young if he keeps this up. He's now, 6-0? It's pretty crazy when you think about it, because there are guys every year. I mean, I don't have to tell you, King Felix, he would be the best pitcher in the league and he'd have 12 wins. Well, Fried already has half of those wins right now, and we are in May. And they put such an emphasis on wins. That's why Bartolo Colon won it that one year. But honestly, he's going to have every stat. I mean, I guess maybe, the only thing he's going to be missing is that Triple Crown, and it's just because he's not a strikeout dominant pitcher.
Yeah, and we're perfectly okay with that. That was actually part of the reason why we were saying we didn't necessarily love the Cy Young pick for Fried, is
Yeah.
that a lot of pitchers today are hunting the strikeout. That does matter for voters. And to be quite honest with you, as far as what the Yankees need, if we're being honest, it's innings. When you lose Garrett Cole, one thing you're missing above anything else is the innings. The 175 to 200 innings, right? Corbin Burns was a free agent, and everyone talked about what's his value to Arizona. It's innings. It's his ability to go deeper games, maybe stay in games you didn't think he could stay in. And by the end of the year, you're looking up and a guy's thrown 210 innings. There's value to that. It preserves your bullpen. That's what an ace does. More times than not, he can stay on the mound. And right now, Max Fried has thrown 44 and a third innings. He's given up 5 earned runs. Obviously, run prevention's great. There are a lot of guys in this league. You can go through a long list of guys that are preventing runs, but how deep into games are they going? That's the question mark for Max Fried as far as I'm concerned. Later in this season, if we look up and he's thrown 180 innings, and obviously his numbers are going to look the way they're looking in terms of run prevention, yeah, now you can talk about a Cy Young, but this is the reason why I was so hesitant about this player. Yes, his postseason numbers weren't great, but when you look up at his baseball card and you flip it around, he's not throwing 200 innings every year. That's the reason Atlanta was hesitant to bring him back, and they didn't do so. So, yeah, for me, if he puts up innings, this is a win for Brian Cashman, and you got to tip your cap because there are a lot of left-handed arms in this game the last decade we could have gone after, and they didn't work out. So this one seems to be.
Yeah, it's really interesting because it kind of goes back to maybe 2022. Justin Verlander won the Cy Young only having 185 strikeouts. So, I mean, it's possible to not have to get to 200 and win the Cy Young. I mean, the craziest one would be Trevor Bauer's 100, but that was during the COVID season. So
I would say 180 is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. When you go 180 innings, Jake, that's still piling up innings. There's incredible value to that. Like, remember, we were talking about Marcus Stroman, and people were worried on this podcast. Is he gonna reach 150 innings? And remember last year, I said when he gets to 140, he tends to fall off a cliff. Sure enough, he got to that mark and then fell off a cliff. Well, this is where we're at. The question mark for Max Fried has always been innings. It's been health. That's it. If Max Fried can stay on the mound, he's going to be great. I don't know if you noticed this, Jake, but today, Max Fried's career ERA, and I know that's an old school stat. People don't hear it much. ERA is below 3. That's how good he is. He's great. So
he really
but also a part of greatness is staying out on the field, and he knows this. So I'm really rooting for him to stay on the mound because if he does, I think the Yankees can go places that maybe I didn't even see they can go.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because he's never had 180 strikeouts. The most he's ever had in a season was 173 back in 2019. And it's been, to your point, because of health, really, right? So if he stays healthy, Gary, he's on a 204 strikeout pace right now. And I don't think he's doing anything that is like, oh my God, this isn't sustainable. You know what I mean? Like the strikeouts, 6, 7, this is sustainable. So we could be talking about that. And I think, I think really what it comes down to is this, right? The best pitcher is going to likely win the Cy Young. So if Fried is the best pitcher, and even if he doesn't have the strikeouts, to your point, like talking about Verlander 185, because if we're being honest, that's probably where he lands. He's looking at a career year in New York if he keeps this up, and 185 is kind of like factoring in some bad starts here and there and having a little bit of a regression. 185, yeah, I think he would do that. And I just think this is really fascinating because now this begs the question, when Garrett Cole comes back, is he even your ace? And I understand that's hard to hear because he's the power pitcher and it's Garrett Cole, but we don't know what Garrett Cole is going to come back after this after this Tommy John, and we don't know because he's older. Fried is younger. So
yeah, I think he's like, what, Garrett Cole's going to be 37?
I don't think he'll be that old. Let me check for you. Let me check. Okay. I want to make sure we get this. Garrett Cole will be 35. So he's not super old.
No,
But
especially for pitchers. It's like being a quarterback, but that's also 35 off of Tommy John. And most times,
yeah,
off of Tommy John, it usually takes you maybe not that first year out of it, but that second season is usually where you start to see the real resurgence. So as far as like the way I view him in the terms of the power rankings in this rotation, Max Fried's our ace. And I see it that way even going into next year. And there's nothing wrong with that. I have no problem with it. And I think you and I were both like, oh, Max Fried, I guess he's a nice little insurance. He's a super 2. We didn't expect to lose Garrett Cole. And then you lose him. And it's like, okay, now this ground ball guy is your ace. Well, our defense, we sort of talked our way into it. Our defense is losing Gleyber Torres. Jazz Chisholm's moving from third base back over to his home position at second base. Anthony Volpe's still a really good to great defensive shortstop. And then we're not sure what we're getting at third base, but Paul Goldschmidt at first base is excellent defensively. He was really good in the second half of last year, offensively, defensively. So we were assuming Max Fried would be effective, but I don't think anybody had it being this effective. That's what's been so staggering. But one thing I want to say that's actually going to tip the scales to Max Fried's benefit long term, and it actually could be Wells' ability to frame. How about being number 1 in baseball in framing pitches, especially with a craft guy who's working the corners? I think Wells behind the plate actually could have an impact. And after this, I definitely, Jake, I wanted to talk about Yorbi Vivas because I loved, you text me before the game and I was just like, I'm so excited about this.
We were like, so let me guess.
You text me. You were like, nah.
10 games and he's going to play 1 was your prediction. I didn't think he'd
1,
play.
yes.
Wow. They just started off. This dude looks like Soto at the plate. And I'm not saying he's Juan Soto, but like, did you see the way he was like, he gets himself like pumped up in the at-bat? It's hilarious.
Yeah, but I want to give Max Fried his due to finish this off.
Yeah.
Max Fried is 31 years old. He's clearly in the middle of his prime. And it's not something where he's overpowering guys. He's a pitcher. All the guys like John Smoltz and Tom Glavine, every time they bring him on the broadcast and they're like, oh, these guys are just throwing. They're just throwing hard. Go watch Max Fried. If you need to see that brand of baseball, and to all the power, like go watch it. He does exactly that. He's going to work in to out, cutter in on your hands, slider back door, change up to right-handed hitters. He's thinking the game, the whole game, and it's changing. His sequence is not the same in the first as it is in the third or even the fifth. So it's very enjoyable to watch. It's pleasing to the eye. It's old school. You don't see it often, but when it works really good. And I will say this, I don't know if you noticed this, but Max Fried, he picked off his 32nd base runner since 2017. That leads all of baseball, and it bodes well. I know his postseason numbers weren't great, but it's nice to have somebody out there on the mound you trust to control the run game, because one thing we've seen from teams that win in October, they usually control the run game. So it's nice to see that your best arm technically in the rotation can do that himself.
Yeah, I actually, real quick, I like that you brought that up. I want to bring up, sticking with the run game.
Mm-hmm.
What on earth? Was it Pepio or the reliever? What are you thinking when Volpe is on first base and you throw over twice and now Volpe's like, all right, like he can't throw over now. So like, I don't know why you would give. He essentially told Anthony Volpe, you're free to go. I don't understand this, Gary. I don't like the rule personally. I understand it. I don't like that we're changing things now, like where pitchers used to be able to throw over 8 times a game. Not saying I enjoyed it. And now you can only throw over twice. I feel like it's a crazy advantage to the runner. But that said, you have to know that rule. And like, was it Pepio or was it the reliever?
I'm not sure who it was, but I will say this. When it comes to the rule, you can't say when a pitcher's thinking about, okay, what pitch was called? Okay, what did I just throw? What's the count? They're not maybe thinking about the fact that they're out of pickoffs now. That could be an issue. And obviously, it's his job, right? It's your job to think about these things, and there's just more stuff on your plate because usually you're able to just pick off, and as long as you keep them close, whenever you're ready to pitch, you pitch. Because baseball was a different game 10 years ago. Just was. You go to the field, you'll be there 5 hours, and Max Fried or whoever else that wants to pick off, they can throw the ball over to first base. I remember bringing my wife we went to Yankee Stadium and a guy picked off like 3 or 4 times. And she said, how many times can he throw? I said, he could just stand there all day. It was pretty ridiculous.
That was ridiculous.
It was dumb, but it's just something that we sort of knew about baseball. And then now that Max Fried can do this, I mean, his pickoff is incredible. I know he talked to Pettit about it. Not sure what he had to talk to him about. He's already picking guys off, but clearly it's already better.
That's the benefit with lefties, man. They're hard to run against. I mean, that's just the reality of it, because when are you really going to get picked off at third, you know? I mean, it happens, but first base is where you get picked off, if you get picked off, really.
Definitely. We got a super from Alex Reyes. Alex, we appreciate the 5, and we get to transfer this conversation to who I feel deserves a conversation, especially on this podcast. Yorby Bivas looks like he belongs. I agree with that. The 0-2 walk turned out huge. Max pitches like he's not afraid. I love that. Yeah, I want to start off with the Max thing real quick. Mm-hmm. You can just see it in someone's eyeballs.
He's fearless.
If you watch a certain player, and we're not reading faces, like, right? We're not doing anything super heroic. We're talking about just looking at a player and saying, does he project confidence? And if you really think about anything we've ever succeeded in, don't you always feel confident for whatever reason in the thing that you're going to do well? Max Fried clearly thinks he's a great arm in this game. Clearly. He's not worried if he's going to blow a start at the end of the game. He looks laser focused. Like, you really would think it was an August start. So very happy about that. And with Yorby, yeah, it was the takes today, right? There weren't any 2-homer games. He didn't light up Yankee Stadium. But for those who do like to pick apart the details and sort of look at the way a young player looks, Jake, perhaps Yorby being called up and not having a Jazz Chisholm behind his back potentially to go on the field the next day. And you hate to say there's a positive to an injury, but when a veteran player you expect to be playing at second base, now you're at second base playing and there's nobody to play behind you, maybe that's going to help this kid get a real opportunity here at the big league level. I'm excited to see what he can do, because one thing, before I kick this back to you, this also can be a tryout for third base. You never know, right? Because we do not have a third baseman of the future. No one's sure about who's going to be playing third base. So if Yorby Bivas starts to play great baseball, maybe it's his job. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly, Gary. And I mean, I told you, I'm going to tell everyone I told you. I said, look, you know, when it comes to Bibas getting called up last year, not really getting any burn, and then this year getting called up for that cup of coffee, not getting any burn, I thought if he doesn't play, this is entirely just a trade chip. This is a guy that they traded away Trey Sweeney for the off chance that they felt this guy was better than Trey Sweeney, and that's all it was. Not every time a team has to have some elaborate plan on how to use that player, especially when it comes to the MLB. When we see it all the time, right? I think really what it is the whole minor league system is a stock market in a sense, and if you feel like you can upgrade and you're not loving the production out of a Trey Sweeney, you trade him for a B-Boss, right? You anybody for that matter. And so that's kind of what I feel like they did. I don't feel like they had some elaborate vision with him. It's not like when they traded for, Cruz. Immediately I was like, I can see the vision. I see the wheels turning, Jose Trevino into the most dominant non-closer in the bullpen in the league right now. I mean, I didn't think he'd do that, but I see it. With B-Boss, I think it's more so, yeah, he's likely a trade chip, but he can play his way onto this roster, and he can make it so he doesn't get called down or sent down. And, I think the big thing for me, Gary, is looking at his approach, and I know we talk about approach. We should just be called the Approach Unloaded channel at this point. But the whole point of it, there is some reality to it. His approach did remind me of Juan Soto. I'm not saying he is Juan Soto, but did you not see those similarities? He goes down. He's kind of shaking his head, and he even had kind of used to get himself pumped up at the dish, and it felt like the first time the whole game when he stepped up, it felt like a battle between a pitcher and a hitter. And I haven't felt like that, like a true battle, since Juan Soto was in pinstripes. So I understand people are going to take that the weird way, but I'm just saying the way he looked at the plate, like how he commanded the
you mean
box.
people are going to intentionally misunderstand what you said?
Yes. And probably clip it. No, we don't have that, but you get my point. I just really was impressed. A guy hitting at the bottom of the order. And look, we talk about all the time batting average. His batting average is 0. But this is where batting average is actually very misleading, and why on base percentage is actually the one that we should be focusing on more than not. And his on base percentage is 667, which tells a story today, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying, this is a big sample size or anything, so I'm not saying this is going to be sustainable, but his 667 on base percentage explains what he did today. He got on base twice, and he did that by working counts. He was down in the count early on, worked it all the way up, gets 4 straight pitches out of the zone. I love the way Bibas, kind of commands that zone, and he's not really trying to reach for anything. Jeff Nelson did a great job of bringing that up as well. Rookies, they come in, young players, they come in, and they're instantly trying to swing for the fences. They want to make an impact. What they don't realize is, while it's not like MLB The Show, the video game, in some ways it kind of is. Sometimes they just don't want you to strike out. Just go up there and get on base. You get on base, you don't get, all the glory of, trotting around and touching 4, but at the same time, you create a base runner situation, and he scored today. So I really liked what we saw from Bibas, and I hope he keeps this up.
Is it too much to ask to just have an approach? Hey, I think that it's to some degree, I get it. Some people are saying, well, kick him up to lead off. He loves to get on base. Leave him at 9, right? There are a ton of different ways you can go about this. And obviously for me, I'd leave him at the bottom. I don't really have a problem with any of this thought process. Yeah. But for me, I think there are too many players in our lineup right now. And mind you, we're scoring runs at a torrid pace. And there are about 4 guys in our lineup at any given moment where I just look at their approach throughout the day and say, what are you looking at? What are you trying to accomplish here? And I will tell you, there aren't hardly any players in this sport where I knew I liked Golden Spatian with the super. Says Bibas had 15 walks and 8 Ks in the minors so far. What that's an indication of is a player with an approach. He's not just trying to hit homers so that the Yankees can look down and say, oh God, we've got another second baseman that can pop 20 bombs. Let's bring him up. No, this is a complete baseball player. He's trying to put it together. You cannot possibly tell me that at the single A level, the double A level, or even triple A, you're refusing to buy in to the fact that strikeouts still matter. Walking still matters. These things matter. And maybe they don't for your contract and for arbitration with your agent. And you can say, look, my war is this. I promise you guys, when I look at baseball players that play for the Yankees or any other team, and they hit 25 homers, and then I look up and see they're hitting a .198, and there's a guy on second base, they're a left-handed hitter, and they just cannot for the life of them make a productive out to get the guy possibly over to third base and help their team. I promise you my takeaway on that player is he'll do well in free agency, but he's really not that great of a baseball player, right? Bibas is attempting to have an approach, and there's value in that directly. That's my opinion on this player. Do I think Yorbi Bibas will be a long-term solution for the Yankees in the infield? Probably not, right? They tend to have their certain guys that they go with, and this one's sort of because of injury. But Jake, also 2 sides of the coin, Ben Rice wasn't supposed to be called up either. You brought this up earlier this year. Ben Rice was a replacement for Anthony Rizzo. Anthony Rizzo had a concussion that no one, for whatever reason, for months had any clue about, and we threw Ben Rice out there. He had an amazing honeymoon and then fell off of a cliff. We go into spring training. He says, no, I got a lot stronger and a lot better, and now it looks like we're looking at our first baseman of the future. Maybe Bibas is coming into the big leagues, and he can play himself into an opportunity. His approach in the minor leagues, which Golden Spatian brings up beautifully, it shows the story that this guy's not just coming up here to pop homers. He seems to be a baseball player. And we'll see how that works out for the Yankees.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I think really what it comes down to is you can learn from B-Boss. Every young player who is in single A, double A, they could look at B-Boss's game today and actually pick up something. And that's what I enjoyed about tonight, watching him. It's not the first time he's played, but I do think, going back to the whole Jazz thing, I think this is good for Jazz. I think Aaron Boone was never taking him out of the lineup because he knows defensively he's going to help them win more often than not. That's what he knows. That's why he's played every game up until he got hurt. Keep in mind, they were like going against the league hard so he wouldn't get suspended, and they got their way. Then he gets injured. This is the best thing that Jazz could be going through right now, because this forces him to miss time and really kind of think and go back. I don't know if he will, but you can go back, look at your at-bats. What were you doing wrong? Really hone in with the hitting coach. This is what I'm talking about. And keep in mind, these are the things they're going to look at when he's going through his rehab process. So I think it now, what it does is it puts the spotlight back on you a little bit, but not in the way that you think of spotlight. When you think of spotlight, you're thinking you're on a stage. I think, if anything, microscope is probably a better word. Because, Gary, when you're out and you're doing the thing and you get, you're just lost in the sauce, right? The season started. We're now in May. If you don't have it, you better figure it out. But I think it's a lot easier to go in and fine-tune anything that he's really struggling with while they're building him back up to come back from an injury. Maybe I'm wrong, Gary, but that's how I look at it. I feel like this is an opportunity, and they kind of can go through his swing, go through his approach with a fine-tooth comb. Now, it might not work out, but I think at the very least, having time off is going to help him.
Yeah, I would say this. There are a lot of people in our chat, I mean, we read every one of them, that said, I really think that Jazz Chisholm could benefit from a couple days off. And the same went for Anthony Volpe. Volpe never sits, ever. He never sits. But having said that, I think if I could pick one player on this team that just would refuse a lesson, because you have to remember, when we brought Jazz Chisholm to the stage here in Yankee Stadium, we essentially said, hey, bring all of you. Everything that you thought you were in Miami, don't change a damn thing about it. Don't change anything. Be yourself. And there's a lot of value in that because you saw what it looks like when it's really working out, right? That's the player that I think we all love to watch. But what's the inverse of that? What are the drawbacks of that? Well, Jazz Chisholm, when it's not going well, the baseline is about as low as you'll ever see. I know the analytics will suggest there's some value in the defense. Certainly there is. But man, offensively, hitting a homer every 7.5, 8 games, and then just going 0 for 5 with 4 Ks, no productive outs, it's a hard watch. It is. And we're rooting for you despite it being a hard watch. So my thing is this. Yes, Jazz Chisholm can use this as an opportunity, as a reset to sort of, maybe I can come back into the game and do a little bit less. Stop trying to do so much every at-bat. Not change what I'm trying to do from at-bat to at-bat. But I will tell you, maybe this could work. I don't know. But also, B-Boss and just other names in the hat in competition for the job also can light a fire under your behind. Sometimes it does. And Jazz Chisholm, I think even in that moment, just before injury, he knew every single day he was slotted in. He's going to be 4th or 5th in the lineup. He can go 0 for 4 with 4 punchies. He can make an error, and none of it really mattered because we were really enabling his personality. So I love Jazz Chisholm. I still think this can work out. I'm not a cynic on this player, I promise. But, man, he does need a hard reset. And I will tell you, a strained oblique and being out for 4 or 5 weeks can probably do that for you.
Yeah, I mean, we're not asking him to do what Spencer Jones is doing. I mean, he's not even recognizable. Do you see how...
Dude, by August, he's going to be up to the plate like this. Do you know somebody messaged me earlier today, and they're like, oh, he looks like a young Aaron Judge. And they were talking about his load because he does the floating load with it where his where his foot's in the
Yeah.
air. Very atypical load. Some guys do it, most don't. Judge does, and so does he. Well, just because you're tall and you use a certain load doesn't mean it's going to be Aaron Judge. Matter of fact, you could be any player in baseball other than Aaron Judge, and you're not Aaron Judge. So I understand the comps, like in the excitement of this player. I mean, we were excited about Spencer Jones as well, but damn, guys, like,
I'm gonna need
let's
him
just
to
let
get
the
to
guy get a
AAA.
couple knocks. Yeah.
Before I get excited, I mean, we've been excited for a while. It's time for them to give us something to be excited about. I mean, you can only. He's hitting. You said it to me. He's hitting 232. I know he's like leading AA in home runs, but it's AA. You know what I mean? I want to see him at AAA by now. So
He's striking out a ton, which, mind you, you brought up Aaron Judge also struck out a ton in the minor leagues. So just because you strike out against AA guys doesn't mean you stink. It certainly doesn't mean that.
No.
But you don't usually show really poor habits consistently. You don't go hit 220.
his
right?
batting stance is too funny for me.
It is. Someone said Bagwell. They said it looked like Bagwell.
How did he go from a entirely closed stance to whatever the hell? His foot is outside of the paint. Outside of it, Gary.
I thought his stance
Outside.
actually looked pretty good at the beginning when they showed it before. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that just because a stance looks good, it works for you, because that's not the case. And clearly they're saying that his numbers are improving the further his foot goes away. They really should just make a parody and be like, Spencer Jones will be hitting 340 by the time his foot will be in the damn dugout. And
we need our PC use. They have the show on PC, right? The mod community has to turn him into like Mr. like Fantastic.
it would be great. No, we want it to work out with Spencer Jones. Jake,
Yes.
you were as high on Spencer Jones as anybody. I was also.
I'm still pretty high on him.
But that stance is so
I
bad.
also understand, and we had this conversation, where is he going to play? Because Bellinger's still going to be there next year because of the opt-in.
Can we
and
talk
if you
about this?
Yeah.
Let's
That's
do
why
that.
we have a platform, right?
Yeah, that's true. Because, I mean,
Our text messages come to life. That's normally what happens. But
because, like,
All
outfield,
jokes
what
aside,
would you do with him?
Well, I think I gotta actually, because here's the thing: people talk about, oh, we'll just trade Spencer Jones for this superstar. No, Spencer Jones has to reestablish himself as a top prospect. I don't feel like he is right now. I don't. And to me, I don't feel like it's bad enough where his value is going to decrease if you put him in AAA and he doesn't work out. But I think his value is going to stay stagnant if you don't move him up to AAA soon. And so for me, I would probably call him up very soon. And then, I want to see what he can do against AAA hitting and then test the market. I mean, I am not against keeping this player because things do happen. Things change. Just when you think this is... See, like, if we get to the deadline and Jason Dominguez hitting 177 and looks atrocious, and then you have Spencer Jones, who you called up, he's in AAA, he's hitting 462 or some crazy thing. I'm not saying that's likely. It's also not impossible. This is a scenario that we've seen before. So it's one of those things where I don't know how much it's about Spencer Jones, Gary, when it comes to trading him, as it is about Jason Dominguez, where, like, what is Jason Dominguez before you make that deal? Because you don't want to trade Spencer Jones, and then Jason Dominguez, you find out, was fool's gold all along. So I understand they have, like, an issue. They have a lot of depth in the minor. I mean, they still have Everson Pereira, who was, like, a top 7 prospect for them. I understand they'll have a lot of outfield depth in the minors, but you see what I'm saying? I don't want to be too quick to trade away a player and then have that player go off. And it's not necessarily like if Jazz Chisholm was killing it, for instance, right now, no one would be talking, just like last year, nobody was talking about the catcher that they traded away, right? And now they're talking about
Ramirez, yeah.
Yeah, Augustin Ramirez.
That's right.
That's what happens. So it's not necessarily I'm sitting here like, oh, he's doing well. I want him to do well. I like Spencer Jones. If they trade him away, I'd root for him, But It's more so I don't want him to do well and have the guy they chose over him to do poorly. And if you look, that happens quite a bit. So you don't want to choose wrong. And it's not even necessarily pick or choose, Gary, but I think in this sense, if you were going to trade Spencer Jones away this year, I think you got to keep a really close eye on Jason Dominguez. I do.
Okay, so if Spencer Jones, mind you, he's been the talk of the town. Everyone's talking about his stance and what he's doing offensively. Mm-hmm. But in my opinion, you're only going to get to pick one between he and Dominguez, okay? The number one target this offseason for the Yankees is Kyle Tucker. It's not even remotely even close, okay? Mm-hmm. So having said that, let's just say you don't get Kyle Tucker. Well, Cody Bellinger, who I saw someone ask me about Cody Bellinger. Cody Bellinger has a player option for $25 million next year. Okay, I don't know if people knew that this was a player option, but it is. The way he's playing, he's, at least right now, he is highly likely to opt into that player option. So having said that, most people, when this season started, said, well, it's not really a problem because when you bring in a Cody Bellinger, he's going to opt into that player option. Paul Goldschmidt, remember, guys, there were a lot of people who weren't very happy with that pickup. Well, we said, well, Goldschmidt will be on his way out the door. We didn't expect Ben Rice to be this at all. He wasn't even in the picture. So we'll move Cody Bellinger from out center field, left field, wherever he's playing, over to first base. It now opens up another outfield spot. Maybe you get Aaron Judge off his feet. You can throw Dominguez, Jones. All of a sudden, we had all these spots that we can throw people in. But here's your problem. Now, Ben Rice is your first baseman next year. I can guarantee it. He's playing first base in 2026. So now what happens? Cody Bellinger opts into that player option for $25 million. He's playing outfield next year. Whether anyone likes it or not, he's playing outfield. So now you have Aaron Judge and who else? Jason Dominguez. And if it's not Jason Dominguez, it's going to be Spencer Jones. So you need to pick correctly between the two players. That's what's at work here. And Spencer Jones, by all means, hasn't done nearly enough in the minor leagues for us to say, oh yeah, he's just coming here to wreak havoc at the big league level. He hasn't done anything of that nature. He's still got to go do it. And I would hope the Yankees don't bring up a player with just hopes of what he could be, but rather leaving him in the minor leagues where his numbers suggest this is an indication of something positive to happen in the pros. Because remember, they brought up Anthony Volpe before anything offensively was happening that was really phenom-like, top prospect-like, and then he got here to the big leagues and people said, well, hold on, he's hitting 200. Well, if you look in the minor leagues, he was hitting 240. It wasn't anything crazy. So my thing is Spencer Jones is a good player. I think he has all the tools to make it work. He's not Aaron Judge. He never will be. Maybe in a video game he can fine-tune his stats to play like Aaron Judge. But there's no player on the planet that plays baseball like Aaron Judge at the plate. That player does not exist. But the tools are there for a reason. The Yankees brought him into the system for a reason. I'm excited about him. And being excited about a player doesn't mean he ever has to play for you. As long as he puts up the numbers necessary, he can help us fill perhaps a spot at third base, right, via trade. Maybe he helps bring in another arm to go behind Max Fried at the deadline. Who knows what his value can do for this team, but I don't see a path for him in the outfield right now because I think Jason Dominguez has shown me, Jake, enough against right-handed pitching to play every day against right-handed pitching. Ditch the right-handed hitting. Go all lefty and then see what we're working with.
I agree with that entirely. One thing I did want to bring up and why I think Spencer Jones is being talked about is even though he has a 235 batting average, I'm starting to push away from batting average. I really am. I really think on-base percentage is showing a better example of what we're seeing, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
And looking at his on-base percentage from 2023 to now, it's been in the 330s. It's been in the 330s the whole time. Now it's at 375. Now his OPS is 928. Like, we're starting to see this player emerge. Now, My thing is that I've seen a lot of comparisons to Texas Rangers Joey Gallo. And I actually don't hate that comparison. I didn't want to trade for Texas Rangers Joey Gallo. And I definitely didn't want to trade for Yankees Joey Gallo.
No, but you didn't think that you were going to get that version of
exactly.
Yeah, you didn't think
Correct.
Joey Gallo. That was what Jake's real point here is. I want to make sure that comes across crystal clear. Jake, when this trade was made, Jake hated the Joey Gallo trade.
I despised it.
And part of the reason for that was because Jake you've said it to me plenty, but I want to make sure that our audience understands what your perspective is. You didn't think that was going to translate to Yankee Stadium at all. Nope. They sort of just projected that Joey Gallo was going to do exactly what he did in Texas, in New York. And then you bring him into a smaller field. Well, the numbers project is he flew out to the right field wall 8 times last year. They would have all been homers at Yankee Stadium. He's going to hit 50. That was sort of what they did, right? So with this player in Spencer Jones, you're projecting that what you saw in Texas when he became an all-star, that could be the version of the player you get in New York with Jones. And there is a ton of value in what Joey Gallo was doing before he got to pinstripes. A ton.
And he's a good defender too.
Great defender, hose of an arm. He could move. He was hitting a ton of homers when he did make contact. Yeah, he struck out a lot, but he also got to first base a lot. There's a lot of value in all those things I mentioned, but he wasn't doing that at Yankee Stadium. When we brought him in, not at all, Jake. So I don't hate the comparison. I just know that people are so gun-shy when they hear that name, and it sounds bad. I get it. But Joey Gallo was a good baseball player for a while, until he played with us.
Yeah, and I mean, some guys can play in New York, some guys can't. Not everybody complains about it being New York's fault, but I digress. Anyway, when you look at Spencer Jones, though, this isn't just like a home run hitter. Actually, a lot of people have said, where is the power? That's been the complaint with him. Not just the strikeouts. I'm getting the strikeouts, but I'm not getting the power. We were promised the Aaron Judge level of power, right? Where is that? I don't think it's as straight away. Like, I know he can crush the ball, but this is what made Spencer Jones, to me, a valuable asset to draft. I wanted him in the draft. This was like one of the only guys I was like, I want this guy badly. Okay. And Gary, the point being is that you look at 23 and he has 16 home runs and 43 stolen bases across all the games he played, 117. So
he's a great athlete.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The Yankees don't just have a slugger here. He's not just a guy that's Adam Dunn. He's probably never going to hit 40 home runs. But you know what? There are not many guys that are that size that can steal that many bases. And so I look at this guy as a potential 5-tool player if he pans out, Gary. Now, that's a big if. But I think really looking at it, Spencer Jones gets me excited. I just need to be in AAA by now to get to that next point. And I see in the comment section, I think it's a very fair question here.
What's that?
Where I just saw it. Where the hell did it go? I don't know where it went. I just saw in the comment section about the fielder okay, here it is. I don't understand why Yanks signed an outfielder from Atlanta when there's already glut there. Okay, so I actually like this a lot. And this isn't a knock on Spencer Jones. To me, this is in the short term. I mentioned this to you, Brian De La Cruz. So
yeah, you did. You texted that to me today.
This is a guy I wanted them to trade for back in the day from the Marlins. He had a really good start to his career. And I don't know what happened, but in 2024, he wasn't the same player after he was traded. Now, before he was traded, this is somebody that showed some pop. He could, obviously get on base. And I think you saw some potential there, as well as he wasn't a bad fielder and he's a good athlete. I like this guy. I don't mind the minor league deal at all, putting him on the 40-man roster. This is one of the higher end, in my opinion, getting what's his name? Duke. I'm totally blanking on his name, but You know what? They have like random guys on the 40-man roster just in case.
Was it Duke Ellis?
Duke Ellis, yes. This
No,
is like
I'd
a
never forget
higher
that
end. Yeah, this is like a higher end Duke Ellis to me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we like young I think in general, we love young players on the roster because they provide something a lot of veterans just choose not to. And also there's potential in what could be built with these players. Like you can sort of mold, okay, what's the roster doing well? Okay, we're going to start, what are they not? Now I'm going to fill in those gaps. Young players tend to do that. So we like that idea. It's just whether or not Boone will enable it, right?
Yes.
Does there have to be an injury for a player potentially to get a chance? Because sometimes it seems like the only way for a damn player to play for the Yankees and be young is if a dude who's a veteran, they paid a lot of money, just goes down like Mr. Potato Head. And then like, now we need you. Come play for the Yankees. And now all of a sudden, like Ben Rice, again, one of my examples, you look at like Ben Rice, he's now popping off the screen, but it's like, man, you guys weren't going to call this guy up? It's odd. It's very strange.
So you can see the vision here, like the raw attributes. Like he had this, and then watch, like, I don't know what happened, but he just started to kind of fall off. But look at the arm value here down at the bottom and the arm strength. So this is, I think he is a totally fine player to keep on your 40-man roster. He didn't qualify enough for this, but I think he's totally a fine guy to pick up, see what there is. If he hits well and, you know, he gets a reset, I don't think he's gone down to AAA this whole time, Gary. So I think this is the first time where he gets a chance to kind of like decompress and work on his struggles. But I don't know, man. I don't have any issue with it. I have no issue with it, like adding a guy like this to the 40-man roster. None.
Yeah,
So,
it seems a little weird that they were able to just give up on this player and be like, yeah, you know, bring me Alex Verdugo.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Did you
mean,
not
I'll
watch
take this
him with
player.
us? There's at least a ceiling involved with this guy. It may not
Yeah.
work, but I promise you it's not going to work with Verdugo. That's one guarantee I can make to you.
It's not like a normal thing that they would normally do based on the way they normally operate. The Braves, I was a little surprised that they decided to get rid of this player, but maybe they tried everything they could. But we are going to try everything we can to get you guys some good picks, because we have of course, from our lovely sponsor, Profit X, we're going to be picking our picks.
Because
on
we really
Profit
got
X.
kicked. We really got kicked in the nuts in that Boston game. Remember those picks we made?
That
First
was
of all,
all right. I'm calling shenanigans on that one. Since when is Tanner Houck going 7 and giving up what, 1 hit, 2 hits? I mean, that was insane.
It really is unreal. But I mean, we had the result fine. It's just, why is Houck going 7? He was buns all year. And I get it, it's early, but he didn't look like he was progressing to anything. So, yeah, he really did us in, guys. We're sorry about that.
Yeah, that was not ideal, obviously. But we did get the Blue Jays. And I did get, kind of as a joke, the Dingers for the Road, our first segment ever doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And was it Dalton Varsho hit the home run?
He sure did. Yeah, I saw that. Someone tweeted to you about it.
Yeah.
I'm glad someone was paying attention. But, yeah, guys, we've got Clark Schmidt on the mound tomorrow, I believe, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're going to – I think most of our picks, I want to keep them about the Yankees because, I mean,
Yeah,
why
we
wouldn't
only did that because they had an off day. So
Yeah, so we're going to keep most of our picks about the Yankees. And, guys, remember, if you guys sign up with Profit X, please make sure when you guys sign up as a member with the website to put in the code YANKSU. It does us a lot of good. Thank you guys so much for doing that. But the Yankees are coming in at a -1.5. To be fair, I did pull it up. Little, yeah, I would call him Little. We do not have great numbers against him. We just don't.
no,
Which is odd. So
they had horrendous numbers, by the way. The Rays did against Fried. I don't know if you saw that. There was
I didn't see that.
One dude had a hit in their entire career.
Yeah, and it seems like Tampa has good numbers against Clark, so we're going to probably avoid that 1.5, so probably go to anything else, right?
I like the strikeouts because when in doubt, Clark is still going to strike you out.
Yeah, I would say that's fair. He's just got to stay in the game.
That's true. But I do like this.
What is K's at right now?
5.5.
Okay. Man, they know
You
exactly
don't
where to
love it
put
there.
it, huh?
You don't love it there.
They know just where to put it, don't they?
Man, I'm tempted to just say Aaron Judge homer because, I mean, he was close today. He had a triple today.
Homer? Oh, well, Wells is hitting a homer tomorrow.
You like Austin Wells?
Yeah.
All right, so
I do.
we'll save that for the dingers for the road. But all right, so yeah, it doesn't seem like there's a lot here in the popular. All right, so Littell 3.5 over under strikeouts. He has got 22 strikeouts in 34 innings.
Oh, he's going over that.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I think he's going to get 4 Ks. Yeah, I think he's going to get 4 Ks.
Yeah,
I will say, though,
I do agree. That seems really low.
if Jazz was in the lineup, he'd get all 4 of them by himself.
Oh, how did you Jazz like that? No,
Yeah, well, I'm sorry,
get what
Jazz,
you're
but I
saying.
mean, hit better if you don't want me to talk about you.
Well, all right. So here's his last 5 games.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
Littell has 1 strikeout, 2 strikeouts, 5 strikeouts, 4 strikeouts, 3 strikeouts.
Okay, so considering those numbers, we're going under.
Okay. Cool.
Considering those numbers, and so
So-
tomorrow he's going to strike out 13 and look like Koufax.
That sounds about right. So
No,
yeah,
but we're going under. Yes.
We'll go under on that. I'm gonna throw in 10 here. What?
Okay.
I'm not sure what's happening right now. Anyway, that we'll do that. We'll go under on 3.5, and then first 5 innings. Is there any value there? Total runs. So over 5.5, the first 5 innings. Kind of like that.
Over 5.5.
So 6 total runs in the first 5 innings. I feel like the Yankees are one of those teams. Like, I know not today because Goldschmidt also did. I did want to mention Goldschmidt is just. We have to do a separate episode sometime to fully appreciate Goldschmidt, but
To unpack what he's doing.
He's
I'm going to
been
say
incredible.
the Yankees in general, right? Typically, when they have a grinded out day, which I didn't think today was as struggle bus as the scoring was, right? I think they pop the lid off tomorrow and they go that over. I'm going over the 5.5.
okay.
Of that first 5 innings, I'm doing it.
Okay. So we'll do that. And
And then Wells for the bomb.
And then you got Wells. So dingers for the road. You got Wells and
Yes.
who do I got? So you got Wells. And or you got Wells. And then I got
Oh, I should have taken Dominguez. I'm a damn fool.
he's not there right now.
Okay, so we'll take Wells.
I love the way he's not home right now. he can't answer the phone right now. I'm gonna go Ben Rice.
Okay.
I think Ben Rice takes lift off. Let's go 2
Okay.
for 2 on dingers for the road.
Okay, love it.
That said, anything you want people to put in the comment section?
You know,
Actually,
Give
I'll take
me-
it. I'll take
yeah,
it.
go ahead. Go
Yeah.
ahead. It was going to be garbage anyways. Take it away.
Yeah, that the game that I was telling you about, brand new one, Claire Obscure, Expedition 33. So if you guys had some fun, you stuck around, you enjoyed it, you hit the thumbs up button, also known as the like button, and you subscribed, be sure to put in Expedition 33 in the comments section so we know that you stayed the whole time. So I'm Jake Ellenbogen. He is Gary Sheffield Jr. Another Yankees Unloaded is in the books, episode 208. And we'll see you guys tomorrow.
And like this video.